What program or procedure do you use currently to track the growth of each student from year to year? And what are the pros and cons of the system that you use, and how is that data clearly communicated to the parents and each student?
Well, we use what I call interim benchmarks now. We use the MAP assessment. We also have what we call formative assessments that we do across the district. They are common assessments based on the content that's been taught at that particular time. Then they do a common assessment. So those are two things that we use to track progress over time. And so far, those two data pieces have worked for us. We have other data systems that we use in our school based on some of the grants that the schools may have in their schools. Some of the grants they have, like DIBBLES. Some of the grants say we have to do DIBBLES assessment. Some of the grants might say we have to do a different kind of assessment, DRA, because they have a different kind of grant. But we use those data pieces to look at the progress of our students. And then we have those conversations. If the students are not there yet, then what are the formative assessments that we use in order to track that progress on a more frequent basis? And then we do what we need to do. The interventions or provide enrichment so we can get them where they need to go.
How visible will you be in the schools, and will you have an open door policy should you be selected the superintendent of Fayette County?
Absolutely. I think that if you want your staff members to believe and honor, and you tell them you honor their work and you value their work, then you have to be visible. You have to be in the classrooms. You have to be where the teachers are. You have to be where the principals are. You have to be where the students are. So I think you have to be at basketball games. You have to be at soccer games. I think visibility is very, very important for this position, because if we honor the work, then they need to see us taking our time to be there to share with them and what they're doing. It's a given that you would have an open door policy, because I think you have to allow individuals to have an opportunity to share with you their concerns, as well as have an opportunity for you to have that face-to-face conversation with them on a regular basis.
If you were selected superintendent of Fayette County, what would be your main focus the first year?
The first year, I would do a lot of listening and a lot of observation. I would develop an entry plan. I would meet with many individuals. I would have to meet with community leaders. I would meet with teachers. I would meet with principals. I would have a one-on-one interview or one-on-one conversation with each board member. I want to know the things that are important to this school district. And I want to know the things that the individuals in this district are concerned about. I would want to ask them questions about what are the two most important things that you think has helped this school district to progress. I would want to ask them, if you could change one thing in this school district, what would it be? So I would be doing a lot of listening, a lot of observations, in a lot of classrooms, having a lot of dialogue my first year, and just trying to get my hand on the pulse of what makes the district tick.
What can be done to close the gaps in the socioeconomic differences between the schools to give all students a chance at improving their future?
I think that it's going to be a community effort. I think it's going to take all of us agreeing that there are some challenges with students who in poverty. I think we have to be very careful that we don't look at it as a deficit, but I do think we have to be realistic, and we have to provide those resources that they may not have when they come to us, that we have to provide those when they're in our schools. But I think it's not only a community issue, but I think it's a economic issue for us that we have to address. We have to provide those opportunities for students from poverty that we would for any other student, and we have to believe that even though they may be from poverty, that it's not a reason for them not to be successful.
As a superintendent, how will you get to know the schools here in Fayette County, and what factors will help inform your judgments about the quality of individual schools in Fayette County?
I have my prior opportunity have been working here, so I'm very familiar with many of the schools in Fayette County. Some of the leadership in the schools have changed, but many of them have not. So I feel like that I know many of the schools, and many of the staff members are still here. But I would want to do a lot of observations. I would want to do a lot of walkthroughs, have a lot of conversations with teachers. I would want to be in those schools on a regular basis, be very, very visible the first year and beyond. But initially, those first few months, I would want to be in every school. I would want to visit every classroom and have those conversations. And then I think from there, I would be able to make some kind of judgment of what is going on in those particular schools.
What is your vision for world language instruction in Fayette County in the next decade?
We know in the 21st century that world language is going to be very, very important. As we know now that the world is flat, and globally we have those conversations on a regular basis with individuals that don't speak our same native tongue. I think it's very important. Fayette County has done a great job with the world languages. I would like to see us to increase those and to provide those at our earlier age. I would even like to look at how we can start some of that in our elementary schools across the district.
How will you keep families aware of safety, health, or welfare issues going on in their children's school?
I would continue to use our family resource coordinators. I think that is probably one of the initiatives that we have not used to the best of our ability. It is one of those resources that has been mandated to us for almost 20 years. And as I look at some of the work that takes place, I think we're going to have to repurpose how we use our family resource coordinators, because they can be a very integral part of our relationship with home and school. And I think we can use them to provide some of that communication.
How do you plan to work with middle and high schools to increase student achievement?
One of the things that I said earlier is that we have to create a culture, and I'm not saying that it's everywhere, but I do think that the issue that we have and the challenge that we have with middle school and high school is that we have to create a different paradigm with our teachers and with our principals, that we have to do something other than teach math and teach algebra, I teach science, I teach calculus, that we are teaching students, we're teaching kids. And oftentimes, and I can say this, being a high school person, that we don't have those same kinds of relationships that we have with our elementary schools and elementary teachers and students. So I think we're going to have to go back and really look at how we think about how we teach. I think we're going to have to look very closely in our middle schools and high schools to see if there is equity with access and opportunity. I still think that there may be issues that all of our students have access to the rigorous classes that all students should have, or if they're taking the right kinds of classes in our middle schools and high schools. So I think we're going to have to deal with access and opportunity to ensure that all of our students are getting the same content.
What do you see as the biggest challenge facing FCPS, and how would you address that challenge?
I think it has been resounding today that the biggest challenge facing us is eliminating our achievement gaps. From every group that I've met with today, it has been their number one priority. We want to continue to keep that conversation going. We want to continue to ensure that that is the priority of this school district. And so we will be working on that. It's going to be a challenge, but as I said earlier, it can be done. So that's where we will spend our time, our energy, and we will have to provide the resources to make that happen.
Final question. Describe the teacher that had the most influence on you as a student, and what qualities distinguish that particular teacher?
I would have to say that it was my third grade teacher. She taught, they taught all subjects at that time, but she was probably one of the best math teachers that I have ever come in contact with. And I can say that because I had her in third grade, and then again I had her in high school as a math teacher. And the one thing that made her special to me is that she was encouraging. She would always tell me that what I could do, even when I doubted myself. She would say, "Oh no, we're not going to hear that today. You can do this, and I'm going to help you get there." and that's why she was so very special to me and a very special individual in the life of children in Clark County.
Well, thank you, Ms. Farris, for addressing the many questions from the public, and we'll give you just an opportunity to make some final remarks if you choose.
I want to take this opportunity to say thank you to the community of Fayette County and Lexington. It has been an awesome, awesome day. I have learned a lot about your community, and without a shadow of a doubt, I understand that you value education in this community. And I know what some of your values are and your beliefs. And I'm just excited to have this opportunity to come and share in dialogue with you today. And I feel honored and blessed and humbled to have this opportunity. And again, thank you so very much for allowing me to come and share with you and your community.
Thank you. And thanks to those who participated in the forum in the last round, and we appreciate your attention. I'm Renee Shaw with KET. Good night.